Hello, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment, allowing everyone an opportunity to log into the session. So a brief pause before we start. And for those just joining, hello, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment, allowing time for everyone to get logged in. Well, hello, friends. Let's get started. Great to have you with us for our admitted parent and family session. We're delighted that you're participating in the program, and I'll start with a great big welcome from our Orange family to each and every one of your families. My name is Denny Nicholson. I proudly serve as the Assistant Dean of Admission, and I'm joined here tonight by my colleague and friend, Missy Mathis Hanlon, who's the Director of Parent and Family Services, and she'll be speaking in just a bit. We have several colleagues from the Office of Admissions behind the scenes, Mike McGrath, Camille Kreitz, and Kenny Sawada, and they're here to answer any questions that you are posting throughout the session. So by all means, please post your sessions. They will be responding to some of them. And then we have carved out a whole bunch of time once we're finished with the speaking portion of the presentation to answer questions that Missy and I will both answer for you that our staff passes along to us during the session. So some of you will receive responses right away. Others they may hold for the greater audience here to answer some general questions. So looking forward to working with all of you. And let me start by stating the obvious. Congratulations to all of our students, and for some of you students who might be in the audience. And by the way, we have students and families here from all over the world on this session. And so congratulations. This has been a record-breaking year at Syracuse. We received over 47,000 applications for first-year admission for the coveted 3,750 spaces in our first-year class. So we read each and every one of your applications, and all of these students come to us. In fact, I was with colleagues just today talking about the fact that it just seems like these students get stronger and stronger every year. So no offense to any parents out there that are alums of Syracuse. I'm sure you were brilliant and talented at your time as well when you came to Syracuse. But amazing accomplishments in the classroom, outside the classroom, leadership skills, followership skills, and you really left an impression upon our staff. So congratulations on all of your accomplishments, namely your admission to Syracuse University. And we're here to tell a little bit about our story this evening, and also to point you in the right direction with any questions that you might have. And our hope is to answer all of them this evening. If we don't get to a question that you may have posed in the session, we will follow up with you in the coming days to get you the answers that you deserve. So this is a great picture of the Syracuse University campus. And for those of you who've been to campus, you can attest this is an architectural masterpiece here, the entire campus at Syracuse University. For those who have not been to campus, we invite you to come spend some time with us as our guest in the coming weeks. It'll be very busy at Syracuse, as it is every day in April, with our many admitted students and families visiting campus. The only thing I urge you to do, excuse me, if you have not visited yet or are planning to visit here in the coming weeks, is to make those plans as soon as possible. Some of our programs have already filled up. Eventually, all of them will fill up. And so we'd encourage you to respond and set up some plans right away. This is home to the university, as you can see on the screen, and students come to Syracuse University, currently represented by 89 countries and 49 states. It's a diverse academic enterprise with 15,000 undergraduate students and a total student body of a little over 22,000 students with master's degree seeking students, as well as doctoral seeking students. So it's quite an enterprise. We're often asked how to describe Syracuse, and I would do it in the following way. We're a medium-sized university with big-time resources and a small college feel, and I'd love to address those three pillars very quickly. The first, medium-sized, I just commented on that. We're 15,000 undergraduate students. Big-time resources. Syracuse is both an R1 and D1 school, and I think most of you are most familiar at this stage with the concept of D1, which is for Division 1, 2, and 3 athletics. And Syracuse is proudly Division 1. We're in the Atlantic Coast Conference competing against other highly ranked universities around the nation, and we're really proud of our athletic prowess and tradition here at Syracuse, as well as being ranked as high as #1 in school spirit in the nation. So really proud of all that. But perhaps as importantly or more importantly, we're also an R1 university, and that R stands for research. There's a tremendous research focus here at the university, and all students have opportunities to be engaged in research because it takes place in each and every one of our academic disciplines. So we invite you to get involved in research. How might you learn more about that? Simply get on our website, click on one of our majors of interest, and nearby you should see a research tab. And you can begin to discern if there's anything appealing to you, where you might reach out to a faculty member when you begin your studies at Syracuse. And a small college feel, the third pillar that I mentioned, and that is at Syracuse, your average class size is 26. 60% of the classes have fewer than 20 students. And our students have all been admitted, all of your children or loved ones have been admitted to one school or college at Syracuse University, or in some cases, a select few students have been duly admitted, meaning they've been admitted dual enrollment into two schools and colleges from the onset. But at the very least, you've all been admitted to one school or college, and they range in size from 500 to 5,000 students in each of our 10 schools and colleges, and thus this small college feel within a medium-sized university. So I just want to go back and, I congratulated all of our students for the great work, but after all, this is our family session, and I know a lot of the audience here, parents and guardians, and so I'd like to speak from parent to parent, parent to guardian. I'm a proud parent of 3 children, and our favorite child graduated from Syracuse University in 2023. And, we love them all. We perhaps just don't love them all the same. How's that? But my message to you as parents, having lived it through the lens as a parent of a Syracuse student who's just graduated in 2023, is that if a student takes full advantage of the vast array of opportunities available at Syracuse University, they're in for an outstanding experience at Syracuse. And I can share firsthand, my daughter began her journey as a chemistry major in arts and sciences. She had a change of heart after her first year and decided she wanted to become an accounting major. She was able to transition down through the intra-university transfer process. She transitioned to the Whitman School of Management, ultimately graduating with 2 majors in accounting and business analytics. This is a very common theme that you'll hear at Syracuse, and I'll get to in just a moment. The flexibility of double majors and triple majors and major and minors in different schools and all that fun stuff. And one thing, a couple other things I'd like to highlight would be immersion programs. I think it's one of the many great hallmarks of a Syracuse education is we introduce you to our alumni throughout your journey at Syracuse, where you become connected. So every fall break, winter break, and spring break, undergraduate students from Syracuse University are traveling around the world to become connected with the Syracuse Orange Alumni Network to learn more about the professions that they're interested in pursuing as undergraduates for future employment. And I speak firsthand in the sense that my daughter took advantage of that opportunity in the fall of her sophomore year by visiting the Big Four accounting firms in New York City, a week-long program paid for by the university, and walked away within a week and had 4 internship offers from each of the Big Four, and currently employed and just passed all 4 parts of her CPA on the first try, but employed at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Boston. And no surprise that her boss is a Syracuse University alum. So I hope that story in some way resonates. I'm not here to boast about my daughter or any of my children, but I think it's a story that you'll all be able to tell as parents, or a similar tale of success if you become fully immersed and take advantage of the many resources available to you at Syracuse. Syracuse is known as pioneering and groundbreaking in so many ways. I'll share very briefly a bit about our history. The university was founded in 1870, so we're nearly 155 years at this point. So we've been at it for a long time. We're a highly ranked university. Back in 1870, when we opened our doors to all people, men and women. At that time, many institutions, in fact, the majority of institutions were only open to men. And from the onset, we've been welcoming to all individuals where brains and heart have a fair chance in our admission process, and we take great pride in that. The trajectory of the university changed dramatically within a few years after World War II. The chancellor at that time, as the GI Bill was taking place, and around that time, our chancellor decided we were going to fund any individual who served in the war, returning from the war, a Syracuse education. And so within a couple of years after World War II, Syracuse University had enrolled over 7,000 veterans. It changed the landscape and trajectory of our university nearly overnight. Keep in mind, many of those young people returning from war came to us without having completed high school degrees, and they were welcomed at Syracuse University with open arms. It's a proud tradition at our place, and one that carries on to this day. In fact, to celebrate our 150th anniversary just a few years ago, we erected a $61 million National Veteran Resource Center, which is a hub of activity for research in that particular landscape. And it's no surprise that Syracuse has been ranked as high as #1 in the country, private schools, private colleges and universities for veteran and military families. So really proud of that at Syracuse. We have much more to our history, such as the first information studies school, the first ever offered Bachelor of Fine Arts, the first ever sports analytics major, and the list goes on, including our alums who have been first at many things. And many of our students in the future on this call, perhaps, or parents or guardians of those students, your children or loved ones will become the first at something in many cases as well. A little bit about how Syracuse works. We do have 200 majors and 100 minors to choose from at Syracuse. I mentioned earlier that all students have been admitted into one or perhaps two schools or colleges at this point. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, it is not uncommon for a student to begin their journey with one major and pick up a second major along the way that may be from the same school or college, or perhaps from a different school or college within the university. It's also very common for students to have a major in one school and perhaps a couple of minors that might be from other schools and colleges. And so for any of you who have already visited campus and met our tour guides or talked with some of our students, this is a very common theme that you've already heard. If you have not visited, I promise you're going to hear that theme resonate with you. So the ability to customize your plans at Syracuse, right? And have quite a portfolio by the time you graduate. We have first-rate career, academic, and peer advisors in each and every college. And that process begins this summer for those students who decide to study at Syracuse and submit their deposits by May 1. Late May, early June, your academic advisor will begin the process of reaching out to you to begin talking about your academic plans for the fall and the courses you might be interested in taking. We have academic career and peer advisors who only work in your particular school. So no matter which of the 10 schools and colleges you've been admitted to, you're going to have a career advisor, academic and peer advisors who only work with students within your specific school or college. So they're laser focused on internships, immersion programs, careers. They know the academics inside and out for your particular school. The peer advisor is an upper class student from your home college school, who will also be a great resource for you throughout your time at Syracuse. I mentioned we're Research One. I'd love to talk very briefly about internships and study abroad. I've kind of highlighted immersion trips, or that's kind of preempting our internship. So in sequence at Syracuse, we often go from these immersion programs during those breaks that I alluded to. Those often lead to internships. Internships take place fall, spring, and summer, and they take place all over the world at Syracuse. And with that all over the world theme, I'd like to talk just briefly about our study abroad program. Syracuse is a top 10 ranked university for study abroad. We've been at it since 1919. We're one of the oldest study abroad programs around. And in fact, we offer 5 of our own Syracuse University centers around the globe. We own and operate these centers where you're taught by Syracuse faculty and surrounded mostly with your classmates from Syracuse University. We have centers in Madrid, Florence, Strasbourg, as well as London and Santiago, Chile. We are also part of the World Partner Program, whereby we have another 60 countries, and within those 60 countries, we partner with approximately 100 universities, whereby you can go on more of a visiting student experience where you go and study at another university overseas, taught by their faculty and surrounded by their students. So a slightly different experience, but it's suffice it to say students are able to get just about anywhere around the globe during their undergraduate days at Syracuse. And that happens fall, spring, summer, as well as short-term programs during our breaks. And so over 50% of our students will have some type of global experience. We also have what's called Study Away at Syracuse, and those are domestic programs. We own and operate centers in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles, California. And oftentimes those students are conducting research or interning during the day and taking evening classes at our centers. And those are amazing experiences for all of our students. At Syracuse, we often talk about an unsurpassed student experience. And my interpretation of that, and I hope we walk the walk on that one, is that we do it better than anyone else. And in so many ways, Syracuse University really does have it nailed down in this regard. You can see a photo here highlighting our rock climbing wall located in the Barnes Center at the Arch. So I'd like to talk about the Barnes Center because health, wellness, and recreation is at the fabric of what we do at Syracuse, and we take great pride in it. We opened the Barnes Center at the Arch in 2019. Prior to that, like most institutions around the country, when students at Syracuse wanted to work out, they would go to our fitness center. And then when they weren't feeling well, they would go to the health center. And yet, when they wanted to speak with a counselor, they traversed campus over to the counseling center. Well, that all changed in 2019, where now they go to the Barnes Center, where everything is located, all of these services. It's state of the art. It's one of the few places in the country doing it this way with this amazing approach. We've had visitors from all kinds of schools around the nation seeing what we're up to at Syracuse. So we've really been a model. So within the facility, as you can see, we have a rock climbing wall on the recreation side. We have 4 levels of fitness equipment, 4 stories rather. We have 4 basketball courts and a track. We have, gosh, what else is in there? Perhaps the only S-shaped whirlpool you will ever see, and a swimming pool, and 44 gaming chairs for esports enthusiasts. Also in the center, we have a pharmacy. We have doctors and our nurses and PAs, hospital beds. On the counseling side, we have a mental health counselors. We also have our mind spa, where you can reserve chairs in half-an-hour increments in our mind spa. We also have our therapy dogs who visit our students Monday through Friday in the Barnes Center. So if you miss your pets from home, that's another unique opportunity. Suffice it to say, this is a popular place, and to just emphasize that before the facility opened in 2019, throughout the academic year in 2018, we had 80,000 visitors throughout the course of the entire year, 2018, into our recreation center. In September of 2019, we had 90,000 visitors to the Barnes Center at the Arch. In 1 month, we surpassed the entire year prior from our fitness center. So really impressive facility and great success for our students' health and well-being. At Syracuse, we're proud to offer over 300 different clubs and organizations. It's a vibrant place with so much to do. I often speak that when I often speak, I indicate that if you are bored at Syracuse University or your child or loved one, they are perhaps a little bit boring because there is so much to do at Syracuse. It's very difficult to be bored. We have amazing guest speakers who visited campus over the years, comedians, the likes of Kevin Hart and Trevor Noah, dignitaries and guest speakers, the likes of President Biden, Hillary Clinton, Madeleine Albright years ago. We've had the Dalai Lama and Oprah Winfrey and so many other notable folks. We have great concerts each year in our Carrier Dome and outside, in our JMA Wireless Dome. I'm dating myself, and outside the dome as well. Just within the past couple of years, we had Pink and Elton John and Paul McCartney and Motley Crue and Bruce Springsteen and Paul McCartney. And I suppose that's appropriate as I'm doing a parent and family session, as those all resonate with you. The students probably don't know who half of them are, but rest assured we have great performances for our students as well, the likes of Fergie and Chance the Rapper and T-Pain and Khalid and Drake and Fetty Wap and 21 Savage, Jack Harlow, Maisie Peters, and the list goes on and on of great entertainment. So always something to do at Syracuse. In terms of the living environment, we do have 21 residence halls. We're making major upgrades and additions to residence halls as we speak. We do have 10 residence halls that are designated for first-year students, and 98% of our first-year students will in fact live in a double. And so what you can see up in the two photos, the top photo is an open double where two beds, so you and a roommate, student and roommate, and then the photo below is what we refer to as a split double. So there's a 3/4 partition or half 50% partition down the middle of the room. But in both cases, those are considered doubles, either open doubles or split doubles, and that's likely the type of environment you're going to be finding yourself in your first year as a student at Syracuse. We do have robust living, learning, community opportunities. You're going to learn a little bit more about those opportunities through the housing process, which takes place after students deposit at Syracuse University. They receive information about housing. Living, learning communities are basically common interest housing or theme-based housing. And there are common themes such as an academic major that you might share with those on your floor, and you decide you want to live with students on your floor who share the same major, and perhaps you take a class together and form your own study group, and it gives you a network to begin your journey at Syracuse. And I'm a really big proponent of the living learning communities. Encourage all of you to consider that. We do have some housing and student living sessions coming up within the next couple of days virtually. And I think Mike or one of my colleagues will put some information in the chat about those programs. Robust dining options from cafes to food courts, 20 different places to eat on campus. And simply stated, the food and opportunities are as diverse as our student body, suffice it to say, and we can answer some specific questions should you have them. In terms of roommate selection, as you go through the housing process, there is an opportunity to participate in a matching service where you can fill out some information about yourself, and it will propose some potential roommate matches for you who you can then reach out to and see if those students might be interested in rooming with you during your first year. So more to come on all of that. In terms of some outcomes of our recent class, 90% of our graduates from 2024 were employed or in graduate school full-time within 6 months of graduation. You can see the starting average salary for the 90% of students, or of the 90%, the percent that were actually employed full-time, that was the starting salary. You can also see the top employers, and this is by volume. So the largest volume of Syracuse graduates went to the places you see on the screen. So it's quite a list of impressive companies. Our students go all over the world for employment when they graduate. And many of you will end up at companies such as those you see on the screen, and of course, many others. And then Forever Orange Scholarship, I'll leave you with my last talking point before turning it over to Missy to highlight some resources for parents and families. The Forever Orange Scholarship. This is for students who complete their undergraduate degree at Syracuse and decide they'd like to continue on for a master's degree. And this was a new initiative about 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's been wildly popular. So any student who's graduating from Syracuse and would like to continue on for a master's degree, we guarantee a 50% scholarship for the graduate program. One exception to that is the law school, but they're often very competitive with scholarships for Syracuse grads as well. But some of you might be interested in continuing your studies at Syracuse. I know that's a ways away at the moment, and you're probably not thinking too much about it, but I do understand it's plausible for our students to continue on and take advantage of the Forever Orange. I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to my colleague, Missy Mathis.
Thanks, Denny. Hi, everyone. I am Missy Mathis Hamlin. I'm the Director of Parent and Family Services. I've been around the university for almost 29 years, and so I have a good feel for what's out there and what's available. But our office is really just a resource for families and supporters of our students. And so anything you need, anything you might have a question about, we are a good first stop if you're not sure where to go with that. One of the things that we will start doing in May is begin communicating with you. We have many of your email addresses, and if we don't have your email address, actually ask your student to please check their MySlice account and make sure that information is updated. But we have several communications, probably 10 or 12 that will go out to you throughout the summer. We will also be providing a virtual series. It's called Growing Oranges. It's a virtual series for new families, and it'll touch on many different departments and resources on campus that you and your student may want to know more about. Specific topical information or just general information about departments or processes. So please look for that information. We work with families throughout a student's career. So every student that comes in, as soon as they arrive at Syracuse University, we start communicating with their family, and we communicate with you through graduation and beyond in some cases. So please always use this as a resource. Some of the other things that we do are plan family orientation. And so you may see us at a family orientation session. During Welcome Week this year, we're going to have some family socials, which will be sort of casual opportunities for you to interact with our staff and our student leaders that work with our office. And we'll have a little bit of programming, but many of our things will be virtual this summer. So keep an eye out for that again. We plan Family Weekend, and this year that is September 26th through 28th. Football tickets went on sale on our website today. So that information is available. We'll have registration and schedule information by the end of May. So hopefully the timing will work out very well for you. Our contact information is there on the screen. If you want to take a screenshot or something of that nature, you're welcome to call us, send us an email, ask questions. We're happy to help. I think I'm all set, Denny.
Thank you, Missy. Appreciate it. And Missy will be around in just a moment to answer questions along with me. And I'm going to wrap up with our affordability slide. And this is not a financial aid session, so I'm not planning to go in depth here. For those of you families out there who have completed your FAFSA forms and your CSS profiles and have not received a financial aid award, encourage you to contact the financial aid office before doing so. Be sure to log into your MySlice account. Please understand there's your application or admission application portal. There is a separate portal with separate login credentials for financial aid. And it's called MySlice. You need to log into your MySlice, look at the checklist, make sure you have all of your items in for the office to review your award. I know many of you have received your awards and are discerning, and you have a big decision to make before May 1st. May 1st is the national candidate response date. That's when you have to make your official deposit to your school of choice, Syracuse, no exception, of course. And you do so right from your applicant portal. You can go to your portal, or you can go right into the body of your admission letter. And there is a link to the admission acceptance form, and that allows you to pay your deposit. We do have robust financial aid available to our students, as you might imagine, including scholarships. We have student employment or work-study jobs on campus. We also offer financial literacy. We have a full-time employee in the Office of Financial Aid who runs financial literacy programs throughout the course of the year. So there are tremendous resources to assist our students and families. If you have questions about financial aid, I do encourage you to contact the financial aid office directly for some support. Or if you're on campus for visitation programs, there is also a chance to stop by the financial aid office and ask questions during your visit. Or for some of our larger programs, the financial aid office actually tables at those programs where you have an opportunity to go up to their table and ask some pressing questions. So this concludes our speaking portion. So I'm going to stop sharing the slide, and I'm going to ask my colleague Mike McGrath to assist by teeing us up with some of the questions that maybe have not been answered at this point.
Thanks, Denny. Hi, everyone. Glad to have you here. The first question I'm going to answer myself while I put it out there is questions about the move-in process orientation. We're actually hosting a session tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time with Butch Hallmark of New Student Programs. That is really going to be an opportunity to learn more about the orientation, move-in experience, welcome week. I'll put a link in the chat for all of you if you're looking to learn more. That's happening tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then also next Wednesday at 8 p.m. And they'll go in more depth about the move-in process. But my first question for you, Denny, is going to be about housing. We're also doing a session with them tomorrow about housing, but typically, when do students find out about housing assignments?
Mike, you might have more expertise than me on this one, but I believe it's sometime in mid-July. Is that accurate?
That's the perfect answer, Denny. So July 15th is when students will typically hear their housing assignment. So the deadline is June 1st, and then they hear their housing assignment in mid-July. Another question that came up, and again, this will be covered a little bit more tomorrow, but Missy, what is the process for students in terms of connecting with their advisors, either for their first semester or just throughout their experience at Syracuse?
Well, as Denny mentioned earlier in the presentation, new students will receive emails from their advising team, usually, an associate dean or director's office of the advising area, and they will learn more about how to go through selecting their first semester classes. They'll have connections with peer advisors and their advisor. Always a good rule of thumb that when they arrive on campus, they may want to set up an appointment to meet with their advisor, and they can do that through their Orange Success portal, which they will learn more about. But it's always good to schedule that early in the semester so that when it comes time to looking at classes for the spring semester, they've already got that appointment, it's set, and they won't be panicking when they're filling their schedules for spring.
Thanks, Missy. Denny, a question came through about the admissions acceptance form. Can you talk a bit about what is needed to fill out the admissions acceptance form?
Sure. Fairly basic form where we're asking some additional student information, parent information, verifying some of that information. And then there's the opportunity to actually pay the deposit online. The form's going to take students and family members approximately 5 minutes to complete. And then we ask for a $500 tuition deposit, $450 housing deposit. So the total investment is $950. That money does go toward the bill eventually, and simply as a deposit, but a fairly simple form for our students and families to complete.
Thanks, Danny. Missy, a couple of questions came through about Rush. Can you talk a little bit about what Greek life is like at Syracuse?
Sure. I can talk very briefly about it, but what I will say is that we have a deferred, the terminology is not rush anymore, a new member process, and that only happens well, I shouldn't say it only happens in the spring. For first year students and students who are transferring into the university, they have to wait until their second semester. They have to earn a certain number of Syracuse University credits, have a certain GPA, and have no conduct issues or serious conduct issues in order to go through the new member education process for fraternities and sororities on campus.
Let's see. Some questions about setting up the Syracuse email address. Missy, at what point does that take place?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. I was just
It's okay. I'm very funny. I get laughing at me. At what point does it take place for you to set up the Syracuse email address?
you should actually be doing that now. If you've committed to the university and you are looking to be a student here, there's a required task list that is out on the new student programs website. And it's important for you to follow all of those steps, but make sure that you start using your Syracuse University email account and check it regularly. I wouldn't say daily, but at least every other day, because that is where you're going to get all of your important information if you're a new student.
Absolutely. And just a reminder on that, you have to first enroll, submit the AIF in order to set up that Syracuse email address. So if you're trying to access SU Mail right now and you've not submitted that deposit, it's not going to work. And I always recommend give it 4 days. They say 2, give it 4. Nothing's going to happen in the first 4 days. And so it's okay to give it some time just for all the systems to line up to be able to access that email. Some questions came through in terms of if somebody changes their mind, which why would they, and decide to unenroll from Syracuse. Can you talk a little bit about that process, Denny?
Sure. Not change of major might, but actually change their mind about attending Syracuse University. Yeah.
Yes.
Frankly, what I would do if you're still discerning is a clear message that there's no advantage to depositing today versus May 1st from our standpoint. So discern all you want, all the way up until May 1. When you go beyond May 1 and you change your mind, you are forfeiting your deposits to Syracuse University. So, you know, if you're down to a few schools, hold tight and discern away until you've made that final decision and then place your deposit. That's the best advice I can give. Don't be so anxious to send it in today and send in 3 deposits. Frankly, you should only be sending in 1 deposit. That would be to your school of choice.
Thanks, Denny. Missy, 2 questions that this person has. 1, are cars allowed on campus for first-year students? And then 2, can you talk a bit about security specifically in the residence halls?
Well, I can definitely answer the parking question. General rule of thumb is that no first-year students are allowed to have vehicles on campus. There is one minor exception to that. I'm not going to talk about it here because it relates to only one school or college, and it's due to some off-campus placements, and it's a very small number of students that are impacted. If your student is in that school or college, they will probably hear about that very early in the transition to college process. As far as safety and security and such are in the residence halls, part of that onus is on your student. Make sure they're not holding doors that are locked to random people that they're not sure about. If they don't know if they're a student that lives in the building, make sure that they keep their doors locked. All preventive measures, common sense measures There are at certain times of the day check-in desks where guests to the building need to be signed in and they have to show ID and all of that. But there are cameras around our campus. There are blue light systems around our campus. And one of the things that's really important for them to do is to download our campus safety app. It's really important. And I'm trying to think of the name of it right now. I think it's SU Safe. I have it on my phone. But you can actually find it through the Orange Now app, which is our General University app. The Department of Public Safety has a 24/7, 365 emergency line. And that goes to a communication center that's on our campus that can activate public safety, the Syracuse Police Department, ambulance, etc. And so it's important for students to know that phone number when the time comes and they're enrolling, and keep it in their phone. For anybody who has a student that's definitely committed and has decided, that number is 315-443-2224. And public safety answers that 24/7, 365.
Thanks, Missy. Denny, once a student has deposited, are all future emails going to their new Syracuse email address? Are things still going to be sent to their email address with which they applied?
Yeah, eventually everything will go through the Syracuse University email account. Like you can confirm as our comms specialist, there may be some that continue to go for a period of time before a full changeover to the Syracuse email account. And maybe you want to speak briefly about that.
Absolutely, yes. So the majority of emails will be going to the Syracuse email that you get set up. We will still be communicating with the email to which you applied, probably through the end of August. Just if there's some high needs, like if we're missing your final high school transcript, just be sure you're checking your email with which you applied. If it was a high school email address, I would recommend after you've submitted your deposit, send us an email to change it to like a Gmail or Hotmail, whatever you have. I don't know, you would still have Hotmail in this day and age, but if you do, make sure we can update it to that so we can still communicate with you over the summer outside of your Syracuse email address.
So I guess to further address that, Mike, for a period of time to our students and parents, we do communicate through a few different email accounts, but it is imperative that you're checking your Syracuse University email account on a regular basis, as Missy mentioned earlier, because that's where the official announcements from the university are eventually going to be coming.
Another question to come through about the honors application process. The deadline obviously had passed, was April 1. Denny, do you have an idea of when students might start to hear decisions from those who apply?
Yeah, I'm expecting, Mike, it's probably going to be somewhere in the next 10 to 12 days is my best guess or estimate that we have at this point. A clear message to anyone who has submitted an application to the honors program: you will definitely hear well in advance of May 1st, and if that factors into your decision about Syracuse. So rest assured you will hear in advance of May 1. And the second point I'd like to make, if perhaps you've missed the deadline and you learn more about the honors program and it's piqued your interest, there's an opportunity to apply for the honors program during your first year at Syracuse. So do keep that in mind. It is not a closed door at this point if you have not applied for it or been offered a spot via your admission notification.
Last question has really come through regarding football games. Both Miss, you mentioned parents or students can already buy tickets. Where can they do that? And second, where should parents sit when they come? Is there a specific parent section?
Well, I think we're a little bit early. We're actually on sale on the earliest date we've ever been for family weekend. And that is only for family weekend tickets right now. So the student season ticketing process will happen fairly soon. Students will receive an email from the JMA Wireless Dome box office to their syr.edu email account. Once that possibility opens, it's usually in the May or June timeframe. I know that tickets the past couple of years, particularly for the football package, have sold out by midsummer, so keep that in mind. But they do have different packages available. Generally, the single game tickets go on sale around that same time. And so if you're looking for tickets for different games beyond the family weekend game, you'll want to keep an eye this summer. Additionally, if you're coming to a game, there isn't really a specific spot that you'll want to sit in. If you do have questions, the JMA Wireless Dome box office is always available to say, talk with you through a situation. For instance, you may have a student in the SU marching band, and in that case, you'll want to get a really good view of the formations on the field. And so they can help you with a situation like that. But generally, most of the seats in the dome are for the home team. There's usually, a fairly small area that is visitors, and some of them are mixed in with home team fans.
Thanks, Missy. And I lied, there was one more question, Denny. Tuition. When do families start paying tuition? When does that first bill due?
Yeah, those bills come out probably sooner than you'd like them to. I believe they start sending billing information as early as June. But plenty of opportunities to set up payment plans for the entire year. Highly recommend you consider those payment options. And so there's often one very small startup fee, so you're not paying tons of interest on these. You can pay a small processing fee and set up an account and pay in increments throughout the course of the academic year.
And then last question, Missy, for Parents Weekend, is there a cost involved to participate in Parents Weekend?
Yes, there is. There will be a registration fee. It should be around $25 per person. That kind of covers a lot of different aspects of the weekend, some of the entertainment, shuttles, all variety of things. And then we're planning to have a family weekend brunch that should be in the $25 per person range as well. Football tickets are a separate purchase. So, keep those in mind. And then that on top of all of your hotel costs, etc.
I know a few questions came through about our YouTube channel. I mentioned that. I'm putting the link to that YouTube channel in the chat. Sessions like tonight will be posted usually within a week or so of the session taking place.
Question about the Instagram account, Mike, as well. Is there an Instagram account that offers information to the new students as well? I assume you can post that as.
Yeah, so there's not a Syracuse specific. For students, Syracuse, we have a general Instagram account where we'll post updates. Also, your schools and colleges to which you've been admitted, Newhouse, School of Education, College of Visual Performing Arts will often post updates as well. You often, in the emails you receive, if you just click at the bottom, there's usually an icon for that Instagram, for X, for TikTok, for Facebook, where you can get more information.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, I think that wraps up our Q&A. We may not have gotten to every single question this evening, but as mentioned, we will follow up with you in the next couple of days and get you those answers you deserve. I wanted to thank our friend and great colleague and partner of the Office of Admission, Missy Mathis-Hanlon, as she helps us out annually with these programs and much, much more throughout the course of the year. So thanks for all that you do, Missy, and thanks for your time. I'd also like to thank Mike McGrath, Camille Kreitz, and Kenny Swada, all of our fabulous admission representatives who do so much for us and are behind the scenes for the most part tonight answering your questions. So thanks to all of you. Into our families, welcome from our Orange family to each and every one of yours. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us. Go Orange. Hope to see you on campus in the coming weeks and all of you in the fall. Take care. Have a great night.